Hello, welcome to Drunk Doctor Who, episode number 118, where we do the 118th serial. See, story number 118 for the Doomsday.
Oh, hello there.
Yeah.
Didn't see you coming in.
Hi, I'm Hatter. This is Holden.
No, today I am Michael Fassbender. Thank you for hosting, as always.
So you identify as Michael Fassbender.
Christopher Lee.
I identify as Christopher Lee. Yes. No, I don't. He's dead. I don't want to be dead.
Did we? I didn't know he passed away.
Christopher Lee?
Recently?
No, it was a year or two ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And now
I'm bummed out.
Now that he's passed away, my favorite nonagenarian musician is
Nonagenarian?
90 plus, in his 90s.
What is a nonagenarian?
Somebody in his 90s.
Really?
Yes, octogenarian, septuagenarian. Christopher Lee was a nonagenarian. So now my favorite nonagenarian musician is William Shatner.
Speaking of nonagenarians, I have a simple 9-part question. You want to play a game?
After the podcast.
So
well, it's rendering.
We have some Doctor Who news.
Yes.
New season
Yes.
date revealed.
Yeah.
They revealed the date.
If you've been watching us, I'm sorry. Yeah. But yes, season 9, the third season of the Third Doctor, is coming out June 11th in the United States. It's already out in the United Kingdom, but it's coming out in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that we will have all of his 5 seasons except for the last one, season 11. It's an interesting race to see which Doctor gets which of the classic Doctors gets all of his material on Blu-ray first.
Pretty neck and neck.
Well, the first 2 Doctors are hampered by the fact that they're not really bringing those out because they need to animate the stuff first. All we have is season 2 because that was between the animation deals, so they thought they'd bring it out, but we may yet see that done again. Monarch, yeah. So
Supreme Leader, Monarch, and the androids.
Okay, so the first 2 Doctors pretty much out of the equation. Once this Pertwee season comes out, we will have all of them available except the last one. Tom Baker still needs still needs 3 seasons because he has 7. This Doctor still needs a couple of seasons. Colin Baker, the 6th Doctor, he only has 2 seasons. They're both on Blu-ray, except he also has 1 additional serial at the end of the 5th Doctor's last season. So that's all he's missing is 1 serial. But it's not out yet, right?
Oh, it's so close.
Yeah. The 7th Doctor has 3 seasons. 2 of them are out, and the 8th Doctor just has the TV movie, which is not yet out on Blu-ray.
But you think they would,
right? So it's out in UK on Blu-ray, but not the US. So literally every single classic, i.e., 20th Century Doctor, is still missing something that needs to be released on Blu-ray. It's most likely going to be Colin Baker, or maybe the 8th Doctor, or at this point possibly Pertwee. We'll see, but they're just coming out in nearly a random order, with the exception of, we brought out the one, we're not bringing out the old stuff till we animate it.
Right, yeah. It'll probably come out sometime this Nymilia. What was that word you said?
Nonagenarian.
Nonagenarian. I have a nonagenarian amount of questions.
Okay, no, it means somebody, your questions are not 90 years old.
I have about 9 questions.
All right, what are we drinking today?
Green apple Smirnoff.
And oddly enough, by coincidence, I'm drinking Crown Royal apple. So he's got green apple, I have red apple.
Well, that one has a green label. Is that not green apple?
No, it's red apple. It's the same you tasted. It's definitely red apple.
Yeah.
All right.
It's very crispy. Yeah.
Okay.
Smirnoff, green apple Smirnoff was one of my first beers I ever had.
Well, it's not really beer. It's more of a...
I waited till I was 21, so I wanted to start with something real light. It's like 4.5%. It's
so 9 proof.
9 proof.
Yeah.
So is this something I could
handle.
I could drive home with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the important thing. This is for the Doomsday. It's a 4-parter, like the vast majority of the Fifth Doctor serials.
This one drags.
There's nothing.
A little.
Huh?
It drags a little.
The first 2 episodes are they drag, but the last 2 episodes are pretty quick.
I thought
there's a lot that happens in the last 2.
Like the longest.
Well, it felt like the
because
longest.
the first 2 dragged. I'm like,
right. There was so much happening in the
Still
third one. You thought it had the illusion that it was longer than it was.
A lot of information. I got a full page of notes.
Yeah. So anyway, there are no more there's no more anything longer than 4-parters.
Other than my 9-part question.
Until we get to Flux, the most recent series.
2 parts?
No. Flux is a 6-parter. Yeah, but that's series 13.
We'll save that for a long weekend.
Literally nothing longer than 4 parts from now on until Flux.
Wow.
Now, there are some 3-parters that are an hour each, so it'll be longer time-wise than this, but they're 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Utopia Trilogy, the 2 Doctors, stuff like that.
Wait, they're an hour each? So 3
hours? Yeah,
hours?
the episodes, they go to an hour with the first season of the 6th Doctor, then they go back down to half an hour. It's the only classic season that's that long. Then, once we get to the modern stuff, the 21st Century Who, the new Who, they go back to basically 45-50 minutes with the occasional hour or longer episode.
Right.
Yes.
So first of 9 questions. We'll do this. We'll
okay. We haven't even talked about the plot, but all right.
We'll do this. We'll do this speed style. I'll just name it.
First. Today is the 1st of May, 2023. Happy May Day, all you commies.
Just paid rent.
I hate that, but yeah.
Wait, what's May Day? When you crash the plane?
No. May Day is a communist holiday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Where they? It's kind of like Labor Day, I think.
May Day.
Well, that's what we.
No, I didn't say anything about payday. That's a line from the Andy Griffith show.
The episodes aired the 18th of January, 82 to the 26th of January, 82. Remember, they were showing twice a week at this point on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So you got 2 episodes that week, 18th, 19th, and you got 2 episodes, 25th, 26th.
Were you watching them live at this point?
No.
When did you start watching with the new stuff?
Live?
Yeah, when did you start, like, watching the current stuff as it came out?
Okay. It's always broadcast in the UK first. So I've never seen it upon initial broadcast because I don't live in the United Kingdom.
Well, like America, like the new stuff came out and you started watching it every week as it came out in America or something?
No. In the modern stuff, I generally speaking have to wait for the Blu-rays to come out to see it. Because I don't have BBC America as the stuff is released.
Okay.
Which sucks on the forums because I have to try to avoid spoilers.
Oh yeah, that can be rough.
There are some exceptions. The 50th anniversary was put out in the theaters. And the same thing with the very first serial for the 12th Doctor, also put out in theaters. So I got to see that.
Early sneak.
Yeah, I got to see that early before it was released. Okay, companions are Tegan, Nyssa, and Adric. Do they spell it like that?
No.
Okay.
The Aether.
Okay, so Adric. All right. And the antagonists are basically you have 3 in the end.
Monarch and the androids.
Monarch, Persuasion, and Enlightenment.
Yeah.
Although...
And the latter 2 are androids and one is a cyborg.
Essentially,
so it's like Monarch and his androids, or not the androids, but androids.
Okay, so
first part of the 9 questions. We'll just do it like a rapid fire. I'll say it, and you tell me yes or no. The question is this a date or not? Because we're talking about dates with the announcement date of the new season, right, for Doctor Who.
June 11th.
Right. So I'll just name something and you tell me whether or not it's a date. So let's say going out for coffee. Is that a date?
What does this have to do with Doctor Who?
Coffee date.
It can be if that's the intention, is to court.
Can be. So there's coffee dates and non-coffee dates.
Well, it's like anything. You and I can go out and we're not dating each other. We're just going for a cup of coffee. But
even when it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
There's no tension there.
Right, but if you're courting someone, then it can be a date. So if you have an intention to possibly court someone.
I ask you out to a coffee date. How do you know my intentions not to court you?
Unmarried.
Okay, so you trust me to respect that boundary. It's good.
Yes.
What about
you're Christian?
What about the movies?
And you're straight.
That's what I say. Okay, what about the movies? One-on-one going out to the movies, not with friends, but one-on-one.
Hopefully that person's your friend.
Okay. Okay. How about the bar, going out for drinks one-on-one? That's a little bit more intimate. Is that a date?
Once again, everything depends on intentions.
Okay. So dinner as a group, that's an easy one.
Right.
You know, you're going with friends.
Yeah.
Probably not a date, not intimate. You have
dates are generally one-on-one unless you're doing a double date.
So here's a scenario. We come back from the bar, one-on-one drinks, and I say, hey Hatter, you want to come back to my place? It's 1 a.m. Maybe we Netflix and chill. Is that a date?
Not unless you have intentions on me.
So your impression is that would not be a date?
No, that would be guys hanging out.
Okay.
Once again, unless you have intentions on me in some fashion.
No, that's good. That's good. It's good to know where we stand.
Okay, where the heck is this leading?
Well, that was the pro-pre-anti penultimate question. Here's the pre-anti penultimate question: is the new season of Doctor Who? Is that a date? It has a release.
No.
It's not a date.
Not a date.
It has a release date, but the new season is not a date.
Correct.
All right, anti penultimate question.
Considering it came out in the 70s, it's dated.
It is dated. There you go. So past tense dated. It's not a date. It's dated.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll go
All right. Anti penultimate question. What about December 7th, 1941?
Pearl Harbor?
Is that a date?
It's a date that will live in infamy.
Okay, that's a date. Good to know. Penultimate question.
FDR declared that a date.
It's a date, right? Yeah.
It's a date that will live in infamy. I can't.
Okay, so penultimate question. Rohypnol. What about that?
Rohypnol?
Is that a date?
According to Bill Cosby, it is.
I asked Bill Cosby. I didn't agree with his answer, but
why do I?
If you say so, you guys are starting to convince me. All right, ultimate question. Phoenix Dactylifera. Is that a date?
Phoenix back to life era?
Phoenix Dactylifera, aka the fruit known as a date.
Wait, oh.
Is that a date?
How bored were you during this cereal?
Well, I thought we were talking about dates and stuff.
Seriously.
Alright, so episode 1.
Okay.
There's this floating orb.
This is a really simple cereal. It shouldn't take a lot of time. No, it's not. Okay, the first 2 episodes are kind of stretched out.
I wrote down all these questions because I couldn't follow it.
The first 2 episodes are kind of stretched out. The 3rd and the 4th go at a good clip. They actually move.
So it puts you to sleep and then it wakes you up.
Yeah, I think it actually could have been better paced throughout.
I heard some fans...
But they needed some cliffhangers, apparently, which the first 2 cliffhangers aren't even proper cliffhangers.
Yeah, it's not till the 3rd episode
right.
Is there actual danger involved.
And the 4th, oddly enough. But they're more revelations, the 1st and 2nd cliffhangers.
Yeah, I felt like I could see the revelation. However, this episode, I hear that some people refer to it as being dazed and confused after watching.
No, we were talking about the movie Dazed and Confused.
No, I think they're saying this serial's dazed and confusing. It makes me feel dazed and confused. That was my impression. Other critics might disagree, but from my resources,
it's so bad a pun. I'm not even gonna.
I guess it's yours.
All right, so
episode 1. Episode 1. We have this weird orb camera thing that's floating around, like 343 Guilty Spark in the Halo game series. It's a really cool prop, right? First, the ship comes in. It looks like it's a miniature ship that they carved out of like a bar of soap. Like
no, we were talking about that, but no.
What's great about bars of soap is you lick it and then they just kind of stick together, so you can make the block as big as you want.
It's a really cool ship that goes across the screen like in Star Wars. It shows you how big it is.
You know what? You're right. I think it's actually carved from a piece of cheese So inside the ship miniature, cheese block, they have the floating iris camera, and it has a really cool practical effect where the iris, like, you can see it focus and it zooms in and zooms out, so it's a cool prop.
Monopticon. It's called a monopticon. It's a big black 8-ball with an eye where the 8 would be. It's about yay big. The eye is about yay big, and it kind of it floats around. A la Dune-esque style.
Yeah, an oscillating security camera. They have one in each
looks
room.
around and kind of floats people, and keeps an eye on things.
Yeah, so it's a creepy environment. Black ship, heavily monitored. What's going on here? So in comes in the TARDIS, right?
Yeah. So the Doctor is trying to get Tegan back to Heathrow in time for her to make her flight.
She is freaking out, right?
Oh,
She's gonna lose her job. She's been in so much danger these past couple serials, and she never even really meant to come along in the first place. Yeah. So obviously she's very distraught. She says,
"Yeah, she's like a hyper cat that just wants to swipe at everything."
She's the first companion that's reasonably fearing for her life, as I feel like they all should.
Well, no, most of them trust the Doctor.
Like Edric, he accidentally stowed away on the TARDIS. He didn't know it traveled through time and space and would take him outside of his home galaxy, the negative
universe.
Space, yeah, his own universe.
Space, yeah.
He's just stowing away to hide from, the elders that were mad at him. And now he's somewhere else. He'll never get home. His life's in danger. That's what Tegan's struggling with, but she's actually expressing that. So she goes, I want to go back home.
She whines. She whines constantly. She shows up in the modern stuff, i.e. Power of the Doctor, the most recent episode. 40 years later,
same
and
actor,
whines. Same actress, and she
same
keeps
personality.
whining.
That's incredible when these actors can return to a role so many years later and just nail the character. Do you ever get that, like, have you seen the third Bill and Ted movie? Yeah. And you see Keanu Reeves and you're like, man, 50-year-old Keanu Reeves isn't the same as, like, 18-year-old Keanu Reeves in the first Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
He can't really pull off the dude character anymore, right?
Right, but I hate it when they're exactly the same, because
there's no character
growth. Right? No, people change. I mean, your general inherent characteristics generally don't change unless you have a Road to Nazareth moment, right?
The actor Keanu Reeves matured, but the character didn't. He can't really pull it off anymore.
To be fair, there is a bit of maturement in the movie.
I haven't actually watched it.
Okay,
so there is some growth.
There is some character growth during the third Bill and Ted movie. I begrudgingly admit that.
The vibe I got from the trailer was, Steve Buscemi with the backwards hat and the skateboard, and he goes, "What's up, fellow kids?" And he's like this 58-year-old man.
Well, they start out that way, but like I said, there is a bit of character growth. Okay. Same for like Silent Bob and Jay, Jay and Silent Bob in like Clerks
and Clerks 2. Well, and then Clerks 3 came out.
Clerks 3 and
like a decade.
Jay and Silent Bob revisited or remastered or whatever. Yeah. There was actually some character growth, especially for Jay. Yeah.
I like in the second one how they established their friendship and actually define, It's heartwarming. I haven't seen the third one yet.
The third one is a lot of navel gazing, like a lot of navel gazing.
I prefer navel gazing. That's the belly button, right?
Right. It's when you look at yourself and reflect upon yourself constantly. The term navel gazing means that.
I thought we were talking about like the bestiality scene and stuff.
No, there's no navel gazing in that.
That's good.
And that's Clerks 2.
Yeah.
It does not happen in Clerks 3. Well, excepting insofar as... No, because they're just filming the first Clerks.
Is Clerks 3 like more tame than the second one? Would you say the second one is
the third one is more mature.
Okay.
But anyway.
Because that was a hard scene. So, immediately when the TARDIS lands in the black spaceship, right,
the Doctor's trying to get Tegan back to make her flight. She's in her uniform, ready to go.
He's like, we're going to put on these helmets.
Yep, and they end up landing on a spaceship. And the Doctor's like, this isn't Heathrow.
Edric made a miscalculation. And Edric was like, not me, I could never.
Right, it turns out Edric didn't. It was the giant magnetic field of this spaceship, because it runs on some sort of magnetic properties.
It's like the Death Star.
That messed with the arton energy of the TARDIS to end up the TARDIS in there.
Who pulled it off course?
Yeah. So there's 4. So they end up on the spaceship, and there are these Urbonkans.
Urbonkans?
Right. That's all right. The Urbonkans.
So. Oh no, that's the name of the planet. Urbanka.
Right, but that's the name of the race also, the Urbonkans. So they were Earthlings from Earth.
Yes.
Or humans, either way.
I got that confused with the Mpucha tribe.
Yeah, so anyway, they land on that ship. The doctor goes out, he looks around.
He splits the party, he says, don't follow me.
Don't go out, you stay here. And of course,
all by myself.
The first thing Tegan wants to do is follow him. I'm not going to listen to him.
Yeah, so he's the one that knows the TARDIS the most intimately. The doctor is their safety blanket. They won't survive without him. So she's like, I'm not, being separated. I'm going to follow you. And immediately the party gets separated. We have the doctor and Tegan, and then Nyssa.
Well, not yet. The doctor looks around.
Right. He's pressing buttons, flipping switches.
Right. And there are 3. The doctor refers to them as giant frogs. There's 3. there's 3 of these big green people. They kind of look like frogs, kind of humanoids.
They look like avocados.
Yeah, they're avocados.
Do you know he who shall not be named?
You're talking about Harry Potter and Voldemort?
Voldemort?
Yeah.
Do you know his favorite fruit?
Avocado?
Avocado. Avocado.
Oh,
is that what he says?
Bad.
He keeps asking for one. Like no. Green.
No, not exactly.
That's what does he say? What's the death spell?
I don't remember.
It's like, give me an avocado.
It's not avocado.
No? Okay.
Avocadabra.
There you go.
Alright.
An avocado
for that joke, avocadabra.
Is an avocado a fruit, right? Because it has a seed? Or do you think that's just
technically, yeah.
A wooden ball that they stick in there for fun?
No, it's a cricket
like
ball.
A cricket ball. It's like the prize in the box of jacks, right?
Cracker Jacks.
Cracker Jacks. You get the ring in the bottom.
All right. So you don't even get rings anymore. Okay. So
it's like a sticker.
Yeah, a sticker or one of those fake tattoos you put on your arm. Okay. So the doctor goes out. He notices the Monopticon watching him. He's like, "Hi." He goes back in, and then he brings out all 3 of his companions. And they're wearing these helmets that allow them to breathe. They're not enclosed, just in case there's a vacuum, which the doctor actually uses one later in the vacuum of space, which is so weird. You can only assume that they're equipped with some sort of force field for your body. And that's a nice assumption for the TV show. But anyway, so they're looking around in this laboratory, or probably British laboratory, and they're noticing all this really cool equipment. Nyssa knows what a lot of it is because she's from a highly developed technologically advanced race, and Tarkins, and she's looking around, and the doctor. Okay, before they actually leave the TARDIS, the doctor's like, okay, Tegan, you coming with? She's like, what if I want to stay here? Well, you can stay here. And I was like, okay, Adric, here, have the key to the TARDIS in case we get separated. And Tegan's like, nope, I'm going with you, and takes the key because she's an adult along with the doctor.
Self-preservation.
And the other 2 are basically, at least in the show-wise, children.
Like, they don't seem concerned at all about the consequences. So she's like, I'm the most pessimistic, but I want to hold on to the safety key, right?
Oh. Just as a small note, there is a period before that when the doctor was out where Adric, we can only assume his character's reaching puberty because he doesn't generally look like it.
Yeah, real snappy.
He's real snappy and chauvinistic. His culture was fairly
patriarchal.
Right, patriarchal. And all the leaders were men, etc., etc. So he kind of looks down upon women.
Gender roles. It's like, that's not your job. This is my job as the man. And she's like, well, I can do it.
And he says women don't listen, and they're what was it? What do you say exactly?
Yeah.
Something.
Generalization about
generalization about women. because this is when Tegan wanted to go out and follow the doctor, and he's like, "Oh, women are so they don't listen, and they're so rebellious." Or so, he says something like that.
He gets real sassy, and you get the sense that there's some hormones going on.
He doesn't know how to deal with it.
He has a crush on this, so he wants to pull her pigtails.
No, he's acting like a young boy would, because I think they're trying to project him as like a 13-year-old who hasn't hit puberty yet.
Yeah,
even though the actor's like 19, but he looks stupidly young. He really does. Waterhouse, I think is his name.
He's put between, he's paired with two women, and his upbringing has taught him that he needs to step up and do these certain tasks and jobs, and that's his duty. And when they put it like,
women
say,
don't
hey,
listen, right?
We'll do that because you're younger, and he's like, no, don't let me do my job.
To be fair, and this, may be a revelation or controversial, but not all cultures are the same.
Right.
Some are better than others, and his was not a great one,
There are people that still do arranged marriages.
Yeah, not a fan.
No.
Although, to be fair,
I think some people would be a fan.
Some
once you get to like
works
40,
for some people.
Yeah, it's like, just pick one for me.
Right. It works for some people, but I don't believe it works for most. But right. I think that the degradation of women reflects an inferior culture. So I mean, if you don't allow women to drive,
you have to suffer equal rights.
Right. If you don't allow women to vote, if you don't allow women an equal say in things, I think that is the sign of an inferior culture. And there are vast swaths of the world where that is still the case.
Yeah.
And I would argue that our American culture is much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, people should have whatever sort of home lives they want and decide on, but that should be forced on you.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you want to be docile and if you want to be secondary in your home, that's fine, as long as you accept that voluntarily. It's when it's thrust upon you by government and by the force of your culture that when it's not good,
Right. It's like this is why I like the idea of, who are the guys that don't like technology? The Orange Amish.
Well, and Mennonites, to be fair.
Yeah, Mennonites are like a modern, more accepting, open Amish. Anyway, but they say, once you're of age, you're a grown up, you get to go out in the world and experience alcohol and bars and technology.
You get to choose whether you want to come back or not.
Experience all that, make an educated decision on what kind of life you want to live. You have that choice, that freedom. You get to choose.
And most of them go back.
Yeah, well, they kind of set it up as to where it's like a really cultural shock experience. So they kind of betting on it's overwhelming because they raised them one way and that's going to reject.
To be fair,
but they still have
it's going to be
the option.
Yeah, they still have the choice. Yeah,
it's like you should make an informed decision.
Oh my God. So Liz and I earlier watched a Half in the Bag about Evil Dead.
Oh,
Rise.
I love it.
Yeah. Half in the Bag is great. I haven't seen Evil Dead Rise, but they barely talked about the plot, which is what I feel we're doing right now. So it's funny.
So immediately the four get separated. It's the Doctor and Tegan after the laboratory scene, right? And then it's Adric and Nissa. And then Tegan is freaking out about this. The Doctor just accepts that the door closed behind him. He's like, well, we're separated. And she goes, what if they get hurt? And he's like, why would they hurt them? Well, why should you make this assumption? He's here's our evidence, very practical. And Tegan's very emotional and like, what if this happens and we have this responsibility? Yeah. Which, to quote the Doctor, as they get reunited, the Doctor says, we have to go rescue Nissa. We have to go rescue Nissa because she was about to die and be turned. So Tegan was right? They were going to be hurt.
Okay, but you don't panic until there's a reason to panic. Tegan was panicking the entire time.
Prepared as to the possibility.
No.
She had a sense of urgency.
She was hitting the panic button the entire time.
It's like,
the Doctor waited
it's like you're in a group of 5 people and you're leaving the mall. And it's like, we parked in parking lot D, and they're like, no, we're on the other side of the mall in parking lot F. and you're positive that you're in parking lot D, and the other 4 people go, no, I think it's F. And you're just forced to walk all the way around to the wrong side of the mall, and you know it's the wrong side of the mall. And not until you get to parking lot F, they go, oh yeah, I guess it was D. And then you have to walk all the way. That's what Tegan's going through right now, I feel like. She's like, this is...
I think you're giving her too much credit.
I think she's the only sane character in the serial.
No.
I totally agree with everything that Tegan said.
There's a difference between sane and... sane and calm are not necessarily disparate. You can be sane and calm. The doctor is sane throughout the whole thing, even though he's calm. Every
Fear and possibility that she verbalized became an individuality, and the other people reiterated exactly what she said. She said, we must go warn Earth. And then at the end of that episode, the doctor said, our only chance is to warn Earth. She was right.
To be fair, she's in a 5th dimensional TARDIS, which will get her back in time eventually for her job regardless. Yeah. But she keeps freaking out that she's going to be fired because she's going to miss the plane.
Her only evidence,
despite that.
Her only evidence is that the most capable people can't accurately pilot it. She's an airplane. She's like, if I get on a flight to New York, I know exactly which runway I'm landing on. And then Adric and the doctor are piloting this TARDIS. And it's like, let's go back to Earth. Oh, now we're in space somewhere. She's like, I have 0 confidence in you. That's totally rational.
No, it's totally panicky.
It's just observable information. She's acting on what she knows.
True, although she
has no reason to have faith in the doctor. He hasn't really proven that he can accurately pilot.
She never changes from the beginning to the end of her run. And she comes back some 40 years later, and she's still as whiny.
So eventually the doctor and Tegan find themselves in front of the avocado people.
Right.
And they're like, draw us a picture, right?
Well, so there's 3 of them. There's Monarch, who's on the top level in the middle of the dais. To his right is Enlightenment, and to his left is Persuasion.
Even though Persuasion's more of a strong-arm, left-hand kind of guy?
Well, they call him right-hand kind of guy, yeah. This is my right-hand man. Persuasion's more of his right-hand man, although he's on the left-hand side. I don't think they thought about that, but yeah.
And then Persuasion, and then, Monarch's the supreme leader, and they're wanting the picture of
Enlightenment,
right?
The Minister of Enlightenment, we find out later, looks at Tegan and goes, is that what Earth women are wearing these days?
Yeah, your spacesuit.
Yeah, well, no, not spacesuit. It turns out it's her stewardess uniform. Yeah. She says no.
My work uniform. It's like, what do you wear outside of work? It's like, well, fashion is very changing
and stuff. So Tegan asks the doctor for a book, and this is interesting. The doctor is looking at Monarch. He never takes his eyes off of the triumvirate. He pulls out the book, and he goes, and a pencil or a pen? And he pulls that out for a different one and gives it to her. And he never takes his eyes off of them.
It's this power move, because immediately when they talk to him and when they're monitoring him on the cameras and stuff, they go, this guy, he knows education, or
he's
technology.
Intelligent,
He's advanced. So he walks in and he immediately, it's like a magician watching another magician's hand. He walks in, it's like something's uncanny here, and he's trying to pinpoint it. What he doesn't know is that there are 2 androids and 1 cyborg, and that's why he's like breaking eye contact. It's like, here are these 2 pictures, spot the differences, kind of thing.
Right. We don't know this yet.
Anyway. We don't yet. I don't think he knows this yet either.
Correct. So the doctor's talking with Monarch, and Monarch is, yes, I took our race from this level, and we're doing our thing. And our planet blew up, the sun turned into supernova, the planet collapsed.
Black hole.
Yeah,
so we have 3 billion people on Ubunka, right? And they're all evacuated on a ship. He's like, how many ships?
Which is funny, because remember Tegan's last name?
1 ship. What was Tegan's last name?
Jovanka. Tegan Jovanka.
Jovanka.
And their race is called, their planet is Urbanka.
Urbanka.
Yeah, I was like, that's very similar.
Urbanka is very kind of Russian.
Well, no, maybe. but
or
she
German,
was from
maybe.
or you know,
You have like Western, Eastern European kind of.
But she ended. Remember, she's Australian.
Mm-hmm.
But she had come to the United Kingdom to work with British Airlines, or they don't specify the airlines, but they're going out of Heathrow.
But Australians came from
the United Kingdom.
Yeah, very European prisoners they sent to Australia.
Yeah, British.
So it's probably like Eastern and Western Europeans sent to Australia, and then that's.
Well, I think her.
I
think her family name may just come from there. You know?
Whereas Urbanka just kind of sounds similar.
Yeah. So anyway,
they hand her the picture, right?
So
they go,
the doctor's talking with the monarch. In the meantime, Tegan's drawing an amazing picture.
Right. They say she's an excellent draftsman.
Draftsman, of current fashion
like
in the early 80s.
Yeah, just the classic three-piece suit.
Yes.
And the woman's like ball gown dress.
No, not ball gown. It's just
shorter than that. Kind of like an office.
Yeah, it's a smart dress.
Receptionist.
I'd call it smart dress.
The belt. Very kind of 80s.
Yeah. And it's because it's 82. So this is the latest fashion. And they say, okay, look, follow this guy. He'll take you, to your refreshments.
You go tour, have a snack, watch a show.
Yeah, get refreshed. Here's some refreshments. And they take him there, and
courtroom area with.
No, it's not courtroom. It's their quarters.
Well, yeah. First they go to the room for the.
Right, they get taken in their quarters,
and then there's.
They're eating a meal. What's his name shows up? Bygone.
Yeah.
Not Bygone, but Bigon, like bison with a G in the middle. Bygone.
They're talking about him a lot, right? Tegan, or Persuasion, Monarch, and Enlighten.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like, bygone this, bygone that.
Right.
They can't let it be. They can't just let bygones be bygones.
It's horrible.
So Bygone shows up. He's this very old, like Greek-looking kind of philosopher guy. And
exactly.
Robe.
In the meantime,
Adric and
Nissa are in there. So the doctor and Tegan show up, and they're like, "Oh, Adric, Nissa, yay! We're all in the quarters." And then Bygone brings them a vegetarian meal.
Mm-hmm.
We find out it's vegetarian. Eventually,
they have the
because there are plants on the ship. There are no living beings except at least Monarch.
We find out that the previous living beings, that they didn't need their corpses anymore, are fertilizer for this entire floor on the spaceship. It's a garden, and it's the greenhouse spoilers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the intro to Snowpiercer. You ever watch that?
Yes.
And they're eating the cockroach bars. They're recycling. God, I
hated that movie.
Protein.
Hated that movie.
Yeah, it's like that. They're eating recycled dead people that grew into plants. It's pretty dark.
But the ship itself is a bit like Silent Planet. All right. Mm-hmm. You don't know that movie.
Is that the one where they have it's the one really sensitive kid, and he has the three brothers, and they go around on the four-wheelers, and there's little robots, and he has the garden, and he ejects them out into space. Is that a different movie?
1970s?
Something like that, yeah. Is that
we may actually be talking about the same movie.
Yeah.
It's
really sad.
It's got the whole dome on the
greenhouse.
Holy crap! I can't believe you know about that movie.
I saw that movie when I was like 7 years old.
Holy mackerel!
And I remember it's just the saddest thing I'd ever seen, because it ends with him going, he's sad that he basically threw his brothers out to protect the biodome.
Yeah.
And then he leaves the little blue robot with like the broken mechanical arm. He goes, "This is your job now. You're gonna take care of the plants." And then he kind of ejects himself because he's so distraught. Really sad movie. But
it's a good movie.
Yeah. Well,
and it's a classic, and I can't believe you know that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that and just going, "Oh, it's so sad."
So anyway, so
see, I'm educated. I've seen some cinema.
Agreed. Okay.
Right up there with Lady Hawk, some of those 1970s, 1980s movies.
That was in 80s, not 70s. So anyway,
80s was the best decade for movies. Gosh.
I can mostly agree. Yeah.
And music. Oh gosh.
I can definitely agree on that. All right.
TV shows were dominated by the 90s, though. No offense.
All right, we're not even getting into that topic. Okay, so
The Simpsons.
That was 80s. Started in the 80s. December of 1989.
They really hit their stride. Oh, the tail end of the 80s.
Yeah,
really
they did hit their stride in the 90s, but
the 90s.
it started in the 80s. It's the last
Technically-
vestige that we have of the 80s on the air still.
Technically, yeah.
By the way, they were renewed for their 35th and 36th
oh my
seasons.
gosh.
Yeah.
I remember when it was incredible that they hit 30. 6 years later, they're still going.
Alright, so, God, I remember the first episode. Alright, so, I remember watching on air the first episode. Okay.
Right? So you didn't have that experience with Doctor Who, but
I had it with The Simpsons. Yeah, because I was a
like,
big Fox aficionado back in the day.
You grew up with that show. Whereas Doctor Who, you kind of...
When that show came on, I was 21.
Well,
I didn't grow up with it.
Well, you still grew up.
I grew old with it.
There you go. It grew old with you. It stuck with you.
Alright, so anyway,
it's an old show.
They're having refreshments, and in come two humanoids, not the avocado people. The Albancans.
Yeah,
two humanoids in the outfits that were drawn by drawn by Tegan.
It's like those are the people, exactly the people that I drew.
Yeah, she's like, wait, you're the people I drew.
She
and they're like, yeah,
I drew you, and they said, no, I'm persuasion, and this is enlighten. It's like, end of episode 1.
Correct.
Not real intense cliffhanger, but it's like,
no, it's not even a cliffhanger. It's a
very weird,
a revelation.
Here's
the reveal. Here's what it is. Not a cliffhanger as such, but a reveal.
There's
and
a
that
lot
happens
of that.
on the next episode too.
Yeah. So episode 2, they go, no, we used your picture to design these clothes so that we could fit in with that environment.
It's within a matter of hours, like this or an hour. This entire serial takes place in a single day, much like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's one day, the whole serial, ba-boom. I mean, seriously. I'm so sad. I'm almost at alcohol.
You want a Smirnoff Green Apple?
I'm not sure if I can drink it on keto.
I don't know what the ingredients are.
Probably has too much sugar. I'm going to have to check.
It's
I'm much better with the hard alcohol.
Time of the night where I need to be switching on water anyway.
Well, no, you drink that. You've only had that's like your 4th. I mean, and it's 9 proof.
4th one, yeah.
Yeah, it's 9 proof.
4 proof, yeah, 9 proof.
Yeah. Anyway, so
stay hydrated. This is your reminder. Posture check. Stay hydrated. Wear your seatbelt. Don't text and drive. Just say no to drugs. Don't invite strangers.
Alright.
Subscribe. Like the video.
Click the buttons. Whatever. We don't even do that crap.
Unsubscribe.
No, don't unsubscribe. Right. Anyway, so second episode.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay, this was not a complicated serial.
Right. You need some more water.
Probably.
I'm gonna go. You catch us up on episode 2. Catch us up to speed.
Get yourself some water too.
I'll be right back.
Alright. Thank you. I could use some more whiskey too.
Yeah.
I could use some more. I'm only getting a 3.75 in order to limit my drinking. It's working. It's not as fun, but it's working. Alright, anyway. So, second episode, the Doctor and his companions, they go around and they're being shown the ship. Tegan and the Doctor are shown certain parts of the ship. Adric and Nyssa are shown other parts of the ship. They're separated on purpose. The Doctor and Tegan end up at a recreational, which is... Oh, first of all, we are shown we've seen Bygone. He's an old Greek philosopher. We get shown to a Mayan princess, a Chinese man, and an Australian Aborigine. Oddly enough, these four are the main four people on the ship, besides from the three Urbankans. Everyone else on the ship has a silver chip on their hand, which shows that they are merely basically robots. They have no intelligence, no free will, no memory or life to speak of. They only have motor capabilities with a silver chip on their hand, a la Logan's Run, you know? Anyway, but these four representatives of four different time periods, histories, and races of Earth, they are literally the four separate, distinct genealogical races of Earth. You have the Europeans with the Greek. You have the Asians with the Chinese. You have the Australian Aborigines, which is the smallest, but still one of the distincts. And you have the Mayans in the Americas. And from these four peoples, the Aborigine is a minor one. The other one would be Africans, sub-Saharan Africans would be the five. We're missing the sub-Saharan Africans. But besides that one, those are the literally all of the races of Earth identified genealogically. These are them. We're just missing the sub-Saharan Africans. Anyway, so, and I say that because the above Saharan Africans are so intermingled with the Europeans. But anyway, so these four are all shown and known and met by the Doctor and his companions. And so the Doctor and Tegan end up at this recreational and they're watching. And the Doctor's playing for time. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Adric and Nyssa, who are separated from them specifically, are wandering on the ship. And they're looking at things and looking at things. And they end up seeing the flora room, where there are all the plants and stuff for oxygen. And the oxygen is keeping frogs alive, apparently, as well as Monarch, although we don't know that yet, but we've spoiled a lot. Hey, what's up? Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Surgeon General says you can have one of these if you're not pregnant. It's
not
all natural.
Pregnant, I'm male.
It's all natural. Oh, okay, woman. Natural flavors, so it has just like whatever sugars inside the fruit that they flavored it with, so like apples. Probably like,
I wish you said how much. I don't know, but you know what?
The information is not on the bottles.
Yeah.
You know, they never are, and I never
Cheers.
understood that. Cheers.
Alright.
So, episode 2.
No,
where are we at?
We're in the middle of it. Alright. So, anyway, the Doctor's playing for time. He's trying to figure things out.
You told me to remind you to bring up the 4 world groups. That
I've already talked about that.
Okay, cool.
So the 4 people represent 4 of the 5 world groups.
Right, there's Lin Futo,
who's Chinese.
Mm-hmm. There's Bygone,
who's European.
And then there's the 2 people that are Enlighten and Persuasion.
No, the other 2 are the Mayan lady.
Mm-hmm.
And the Aboriginal.
Right,
Aboriginal. We have 4 of the 5. We're missing sub-Saharan Africans.
Oh.
So we're basically missing. You've got the Chinese, the Aboriginals, the whites, and the Western Hemisphere Indians.
Yeah.
We're just missing Africans. So that's the only one missing.
You talked about like the dialogue where they about going back and forth from Earth every few thousand years.
No,
years.
We're almost there. Hold on. We're almost there.
That's where you get all the different cultures.
Right. So what happens is that the Doctor and Tegan are watching this recreational, and they're doing sword fights. They're doing because you have these 4 cultures. The Chinese guys do the Chinese dragons.
Yeah.
The Mayan lady does Mayan dances. And then
I thought they were like from India. The dancing women.
No, that's Mayan.
That's my okay.
Yeah, because she's a Mayan culture, so they're doing that from her memory.
I get those.
So at this point, we don't get
the natives kind of had their tribal dance.
Well, we don't get the Aborigines yet.
Oh, okay, that's later.
But yeah, that's later. But we get the Greek sees Romans fighting, and
gladiators. Yeah.
Gladiators. And Bygone goes up to the Doctor and says, "Pretend I'm explaining what's going on to you. Make a diversion so I can get out in 10 seconds time. Meet me back at your quarters.
We'll have a conversation."
So the Doctor plays along, and he has a fainting spell of all things.
It must be the oxygen and the floor room. Got a little light.
And he claims must be the altitude. Yeah. And Enlightenment is who's watching him. Enlightenment's like, what a facetious remark. Okay. So here's several problems with the serial.
Yes.
Okay.
A few plot holes.
There are plot holes. Enlightenment and Monarch are watching and hearing them during that.
Their audio and the camera with the...
But later on, other stuff's going on with another recreational. The Doctor says, well, they can't hear us.
Yeah. Because he had the buzzer thing?
No, but it wasn't going on at that point.
Oh.
But that was him and Andric later on.
You know, I did... Do you think they spliced those 2 scenes together in the wrong order?
No.
It is.
Anyway, so the Doctor he does his fainting spell.
They bring him back to his room.
Bygone leaves.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm tired. We've got to go back to our quarters.
The gladiator gets stabbed, right?
Right, gladiator gets stabbed, and
we think it might be our first death of the serial.
Tegan freaks out.
As she should. Who wouldn't freak out about that? You walk into this room, they're like,
Doctor
hey,
does it.
You want to watch some entertainment? You're like, okay. And then some guy stabs someone else, you're like, oh, this is...
Runs a sword through him. But there wasn't any blood.
Not my kind of party.
The no blood should have been an indicator.
Yeah, and so when the Doctor gets back to his room and he's talking to Bygone,
this
is the big revelation of why...
And the Doctor's like, hey, we don't like your entertainment. And Bygone's like, well, you don't understand. And Tegan's just like head in her hands, crying and remorse.
Let's just watch someone die.
Right. Have you ever seen anyone die?
No.
I have. It's not fun.
Well, I've probably seen footage, like war footage.
No, I mean...
But not in
real
person.
life.
No.
Yeah, I have. It's not fun.
Yeah. So it's...
I recommend not doing it, but you'll probably have to at some point.
So Tegan's obviously traumatized by this, but Bygone says, no, don't worry about it. No one died. He's just an android. They're going to repair him.
He doesn't quite explain it that way.
Yeah,
but he goes, hey,
we're not.
And he mentioned he'd been around for 200 generations or whatever, you know, or 100 generations.
Years.
Yeah, so 2,500 years. And Doctor's like, well, wait, what? And Bygone goes, oh, this carapace, it's not me. And he pulls aside his skin.
Turban, and then he pulls his flesh out like a turban. Yeah. And he goes, this is just a polymer stretched over the skeleton.
Right. And there's just like circuits and androidy things. And then he goes, and he pulls up his face.
Oh, very creepy.
Very creepy. It's a really good use of blue screen. He pulls up his face. And there's android eyes and a bunch of circuits, and he puts it back down.
He closes his face.
He says, "This is not me." And he pulls out a circuit board about this big. He goes, "This is me.
My memory, my processing power."
Well, not yet. End of episode 2.
That's the big reveal. Is that he's a robot.
Big reveal. Once again, not
robots.
a cliffhanger like end of episode 1, but a big reveal. Yeah. So
episode
episode 3 is like, okay, this is me. Mm-hmm. This is my memory. This is my logic and intelligence functions. This is my motor skills.
The doctor goes, "Oh, what engineering? It's all so compact." And he goes, "Yeah, it's all connected with these millionth nanometer
100 nanometer things.
100,000ths of a millimeter."
It's a thousandth of a millionth of a meter.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
So, a nanometer, exactly what he said. Alright, so anyway, so it turns out
it's 10 of those.
No, 100.
No, 10 nanometers, and 1 nanometer is 1,000th of 1 millionth of a meter.
No, he says it's 100 nanometers.
No, 10 nanometers.
He says 100. It's 100 nanometers. What are you willing to bet?
I'm right.
What are you willing to bet?
10 nanometers, and 1 nanometer is 1,000th of 1 millionth of a meter.
Okay, he says 100 nanometers.
Hundreds of strands that are 10 nanometers thick.
What are you willing to bet?
A handle?
A handle?
Well, whatever size that is and whatever size this
is. That's a 357.
That's like $10.
Oh, probably 375. I keep mixing up the size of a fifth of alcohol or a tenth of alcohol with the gun 357.
Oh yeah, the 357.
357. 375.
375. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like $10.
That one's about 16. Most of them are 10.
Okay. Yeah, like $10, $16. A 6-pack of Smirnoff is like $10.
Okay.
So $10, $15.
I'm saying the guy says they're 100 nanometers wide. You're saying
he's saying they're connected by nanometers that are. No, he's saying they're connected by strands that are 10 nanometers thick.
Right.
And 1 nanometer is 1,000 millionths of a meter.
Forget the nanometer.
Yeah,
you're saying 10 nanometers.
10 nanometers.
And I'm saying 100 nanometers.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
You've lost.
But
all right.
Ooh, I won one. I'm gonna win. 10.
He said 100 nanometers thick.
He's 10 nanometers thick, right?
100.
We'll see.
All right. We'll see.
Was this episode 3?
Yeah, very beginning of episode 3.
Oh, easy to find.
I am not as drunk as you think I am.
I'm not as thick as you drunk I am.
Yes, exactly. Alright.
How high are you? No, it's high. How are you?
Okay. No, he says 100 nanometers. Anyway, so turns out that this is an android with a living memory. And it turns out that the Urbonkans have been to Earth several times over the last 35,000 years.
Each time they go back, they keep doubling their
speed, right? So they go back and they get a human from the current time period. The first one was the Aborigine. The second one was probably the Chinese.
They grab at least a couple because they let them.
Well, they grab more.
Like they let them have generations and offspring, and they take like a whole tribe.
Well, they take a bunch of them, but turns out that only the most intelligent is allowed to live for the purpose of the Urbonkans.
Yes.
The rest of them are turned into mulch.
So
well, not even allowed to live. They're converted into androids.
Currently, they're being
memory chips
frozen and shrunk down until they determine which one's the smartest, and then the smartest one is converted into computer memory chips and inserted into an android. Yeah,
and the rest of them are turned into mulch.
Yeah, and that feeds the garden. That's the floor. So he goes. Right. They're the only thing that's living organically on this ship is the floral level, and that is being fertilized by all these dead people that are now machines. And Tegan, of course, continues to freak out over the horrific realization.
Just freak out.
It's so it's like an episode of Black Mirror. It's real creepy. I don't blame her at all. I'd be freaking out too if they just told me there's a giant greenhouse on this giant spaceship that houses 3 million shrunk people, and then we fertilize them with just thousands and thousands of dead people's corpses that we turned into machines. That's horrifying. And I feel like everyone else is underplaying that, like Adric and Nissa. It's like, we don't know what's going on. And the doctor's like, hey, let's not freak out.
To be fair,
only knows
Adric
so much.
and Nissa are supposed to be like 13, 14 years old.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're kind of rolling with the punches
Yeah.
and don't really conceptualize everything.
Now, when is it that
I don't
Adric really kind of goes along with Monarch's scheme? He really gets
We're getting there.
confused and.
All right. No, he's not confused. He's idealistic.
Yeah,
Right.
he really gets sold into this idea of
So
perfect, like ending suffering of the flesh and
the flesh time.
yeah, but it's like, you know, you're not, you know, I make a clone of you. It's just an exact replica, and then I just kill the original you. That's still you. That's horrific, and now some imposter is in control of your life, right? It's really scary stuff. You're being replaced by a machine, and the human that was you is gone.
Well, if you do a clone of somebody, let's earmark the episode Heaven Sent. Hellbent,
Clones.
which will come up during the 12th Doctor Capaldi, in which he gets cloned billions of times.
Ooh. So they talk about the power of the Time Lords and how the Doctor receives power from being a Time Lord.
Right.
What power they... Oh, episode 3, yeah. The Legend of Rassilon, the Eye of Blank is what Monarch
Eye
is
of
talking
Harmony.
about. Yeah, so give us a quick recap on Rassilon, and he had these relics.
What questions do you have from the first 2 episodes before we get to the third one? Before we ask questions from the third one.
What is the date? Did you notice how before we see the avocado faces, we just hear them talking over the monitors?
Yeah.
And they sound very Dalek-esque robotic speak because they're so...
No, they're just proper speak.
No, they're so... what is it? Practical and reasonable and measured that you get the same kind of emotional feeling from the Daleks that's just beep, boop, boop, beep. It's like, this is how it is.
It turns out they
are androids. Yeah, so it's kind of like hinting at why their personality is like that. You don't see them and you go, oh, they're not robots, they're people, but they really are robots.
Turns out, yeah.
It's foreshadowing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Wait. One point I want to make. While the 4 representatives of the races are shown, the Aborigine comes in and he speaks, and his language is not translated by the TARDIS, though the TARDIS is there. This is one of those times where, like you'll meet them later, the Rhino people, where the TARDIS does not translate the language, and it just so happens that Tegan can speak it because she's from Australia.
The native.
So she knows the Aboriginal language, which apparently hasn't changed in the last 35,000 years.
Well, I mean, they were taken at that point in time and then replicated.
Right, but apparently the language hasn't changed because she knows how to speak and understand what we say now.
They were shrunken down and kind of digitized, and that kind of freezes the evolution of it. They don't progress.
Not on the Earth, there, but not on the Earth. But
no, on the
So apparently
that's a good point.
she understands Aborigine, and it hasn't changed at all in 35,000 years, and it's not translated by the TARDIS, even though the TARDIS translates nearly everything, which I found interesting because it's one of those things of the plot wants this or the plot wants that.
It's like,
and it'll go whichever way the plot wants rather than what makes sense.
It's like the TARDIS is like, I could translate it, but I really want Tegan to have her moment to shine.
And that was one of Tegan's 2 talents.
Yeah, she's an excellent draughtswoman. She's great at doing sketches.
And she speaks Aborigine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
So she has a cool development during this serial. She's very practical. And the thing she keeps warning people about keep happening to be true.
Except her not getting back to Heathrow on time.
Well, we still don't know. We haven't gotten there yet. I don't know. So you gotta get the sense that Tegan's over it at this point. She's upset. She wants to go home. She's been wanting to go home. She fears for her life. And you get the sense that we're about to say goodbye to Tegan. and that's why they're kind of wrapping up her story arc. So she has some development.
Well, yeah, she's got the. Yeah. Well, the problem is she has the I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
And I need to leave, and I want to leave. Well, the entire time she's there.
She wants to get home. She never wanted.
Right.
But that motivation kind of helps the plot line because she's pushing it forward. Because she's like, "What about this?"
It's like Victoria. Victoria's like Victoria didn't hit that until she was leaving in that final series.
Yeah, they kind of rushed in some development.
Right. But Tegan has that the entire way, and I'm just like, I'm so sick of it. Just go away.
I feel like everything Tegan does this series is totally reasonable and practical, and no one's listening to her the whole time or giving her any sort of credence or credit. I feel like she's justified in the things she does.
Okay, so that's where different opinions come in. All right.
She doesn't have faith in the Doctor. I personally, if I were in her shoes, I would also not have much faith in the Doctor.
If you're in
for my own safety.
You couldn't walk well. Her shoes are high heels.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your next question?
All right. So we talked about that. Shapeshift between core groups. I think that's all my questions for episode 1 and 2.
Okay.
We talked about Rassilon. I was wondering if you could give us a quick
episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3 recap on the whole Rassilon thing and the artifacts. And
so we're in episode 3. Bygone wants a doctor to help him.
He has the power of a Time Lord, right? What is
that
power?
Right. Well, hold on.
It's kind of like the Force, right?
No. Alright. So Bygone wants the doctor to help him because Bygone is not capable, despite him having free will, he's not capable of directly rebelling. He did that once, and he was shut away for 100 years in a drawer. It's his chip, and I'm guessing he
imprisoned on a hard drive, imprisoned on the silicon chip. He said, for 100 years.
I'm guessing he was aware at the time, which is freaky.
Is that, yeah, it's like you have the CMOS chip on your motherboard, and that keeps track of the time. So the internal clock is always set. So if you lose the CMOS battery chip, it doesn't keep that stored random access memory that it can like boot up. So he's in storage, and he must have some. He said, he was pointing out the different modules. He's like, here's my memory, and here's my power source. So he's self-powered, and he's in storage.
Memory, logic. Motor functions.
So he's basically in a lucid coma for like 100 years, which is just torturous because he's aware of his consciousness, but he has no vessel to move around or experience anything.
So it turns out that
very Dark Mirror-esque. It's so creepy. This whole serial.
Well, Dark Mirror is also British.
Yeah,
but this is.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that.
Dark Mirror?
Yeah, Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror
from Netflix original.
No, Netflix transmits it, but it's English.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh. Wait, you didn't recognize that the characters were English?
I mean, every episode is different characters. I thought that
Well, there are just a scant few characters in Black Mirror that are the American, and it's a little later on. But yeah, it's a very British show.
Well, like 80% of Star Wars actors were English and British and stormtroopers.
Well, most of the bad
French.
Guys.
Yeah, and then but it was an American film with George Lucas. And
Black Mirror is a British show.
I didn't know that.
You should have suspected it when in the first episode.
Well, by that logic,
they wanted the Prime Minister to have sex with the sheep.
With the pig. The first episode.
Oh, pig. Yeah.
With that logic, you could also assume that Star Wars was a British film, but it wasn't. Just because the majority of actors...
I don't remember anybody in Star Wars wanting the Prime Minister to have sex with a pig. There you go. Alright. So in episode 3, things start to move at a faster pace. The Doctor and... Okay. Everyone is split up.
Yeah.
The Doctor is trying to go with Bygone and fix things so they can stop, because they find out that this ship is only 4 days away from Earth. It's finally about to finish a 1,250-year trip back to Earth, so that Monarch can convince humans to take on the
Basically become Cybermen. Take out all their
well, not
flesh.
even Cybermen.
Yeah,
just not even robots, but
become digital digitize their consciousness, and
put
then
them on the
replace,
chips and make them what's the term?
Kind of like a hive mind, or
No, not robots, not Cybermen.
androids.
Androids.
Yeah, just put
Make
them in
them
a robotic
androids
vessel.
to get them away from the flesh time.
Yeah, you'll never have a heart that goes bad. Never
Right, you'll
ankle.
never have
everything
war,
can be repaired.
you'll never need food,
Yeah.
yada yada yada.
You're programmable.
And he's doing this so that he can loot the Earth's silicon and carbon bases,
Yeah.
because they've already utilized all that on
It's
a
pretty
rocket
rare on
and
other
destroyed
worlds.
that planet. Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to do that because he wants to. His ultimate plan is at the same time where he says he wants to go faster than the speed of light.
We find that out right
That's
about
later.
now.
Okay.
So he's trying to go faster than the speed of light, so he can go back in time, which he believes he can do if he can go faster than the speed of light,
He also
and meet
believes-
himself because he believes he's God.
He thinks, he created everything. He has such an ego that he goes, I must be God.
Huge
I'm going
ego.
to travel back in time
To meet
meet myself creating reality.
Yeah, it's
He's totally delusional.
woo. All right, you know what do they call it? A Napoleon complex, right?
Yeah.
He's just like nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the Doctor and Bygone are going around. The Doctor's trying to stop this. In the meantime, Monarch is talking to Adric and Nyssa, and he convinces Adric that the way of androidism is the way of the future, and that it would prevent human beings from killing each other, it would prevent them from starvation, it would prevent war, it would be good for them. And Adric signs on to this. And we've seen Adric do this previously with the Master.
Yes.
Although I think Adric was faking at that point. He really believes this.
Right. You get the sense that he's very young and impressionable and
Idealistic.
Yes. So
Yeah.
he's easily manipulated emotionally. It's like, shouldn't you aspire to this ideal? Like, he gets caught up in this cognitive disconnect of this is bad, so we should do this bad thing to get rid of the bad.
Right.
It's very impressionable.
Right. In the meantime, because Nyssa is very clearly not with the program.
She says, people don't want to be turned into robots. We have to warn Earth.
Yeah.
And no one else has been...
Tegan. That's Tegan.
Yeah, Tegan.
Nyssa's like, I'm not signing on to tyranny. This is tyranny. And so...
It wasn't a question.
Right. So he takes Nyssa and he says, okay, sedate her and we will transform her into an android.
So he plugs her up in the headset and downloading her consciousness or whatever.
Yeah. And Tegan runs off and goes to the TARDIS, says, I'm going to try to be somewhere else. I've got to warn Earth.
She's faced with this ultimatum where the past 3 episodes up till now, no one has been listening to her. She says, these people could, what about these two? They could be in danger. And he's like, nah. And she's just being kind of brushed aside. And she goes, now she's told that they're going to create all of humanity into robots. And she goes, well, I have to warn Earth. No one's listening to me. I'm going to do it by myself. I'm going to figure out how to fight.
That's such a kind interpretation.
It's very practical. It's like no one's very kind. She trusts her own discretion. Like she's
pusillanimity.
Every person has a sense of self-preservation when. Okay,
that's fair.
I'm saying that she's justified.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a kind of.
She doesn't have faith in the Doctor. I wouldn't either.
She goes to the TARDIS and she tries to manipulate it. Right? She eventually gets to leave, but it only goes like
she finds
a few hundred yards outside the ship because I will admit it might be the magnetic
the ship
things
was
that mess with the
holding
Archon energy that move it only that far. So
because she found,
I'll give that.
She found the user manual,
but she doesn't understand it.
Even though it's converted to English, she couldn't really figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's either
she doesn't know the technological terms. She's the least knowledgeable of the people in the TARDIS.
But she does a very good. She has that pilot intuition. She does very good for not knowing anything about the technology.
I think she kind of messes with the controls the way she saw the Doctor and Andrew.
We can probably count on one hand the amount of people that have have actually moved the TARDIS, like shifted it in space with the console. She's like probably one of 5 or 6 people that have been able to do that
thus far.
I like Tegan, is what I'm saying.
He likes it. I don't care for Tegan.
I feel like Tegan gets a bad rap. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I
as you do,
you somewhat relatable.
You can agree to be wrong. Yeah. You might as well like the Detroit Lions. All right.
Are they not doing well this season?
They don't do well any season.
They're like the Bears.
They were good in the 40s. Yeah. All right. So anyway,
how the Saints do?
Normally or last year?
Last year. Yeah, most recently. How do you think they're doing with their current lineup?
Yeah, the Browns did better than the Saints last year.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
rough.
sorry, not the Browns. The Lions did better than the Saints last year. I have a standing bet with a friend. Every year. We've done it for like the last 10 years.
So
I've won every year.
He's getting his revenge.
Except the last year. Yeah, he won the last year.
So I feel like they lost some key players and they have some new talent, but they still have to really form their team.
Okay, we had a good draft.
Yeah.
We did have a good draft, which just happened this last weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. We did have a good draft. But yeah, the Saints, they're in a rebuilding
Right. New talent.
Session of years.
They're getting their team dynamics together, I feel like.
Right, which is why I was able to get season tickets finally. All right.
Yeah.
Woo! And Monday, not today, but next Monday, I get a chance to upgrade my seats.
The 7th? Oh, already?
The 8th.
I thought that was like a several-year waiting list before you upgraded.
No. You get the seats finally, and then you have an opportunity to upgrade every year.
Oh, every year. That's great. Yeah, so better seats.
Hopefully. Well, we'll see.
Positive.
We'll see what I want to pay for
right,
when it comes around next Monday, 3 p.m. All right. Anyway.
Awesome.
So the Doctor is conspiring with Bygone. In the meantime, Monarch sent Nyssa to be androidized.
Yeah.
And they put her in a thing, and it's very reminiscent of the... We're going to turn you into a Cyberman thing. Yeah, a Cyberman thing from the first Doctor.
And what the Daleks were doing, Yeah, this has happened.
The Cyberman thing from the first Doctor. And the Daleks with
when they turned them into the...
To the...
Zombies.
Well, pre-Cyberman.
Pre-Cyberman, that's it, yeah.
And
the Dalek Cybermen, and the Mondas Cybermen, and then some other Cybermen.
And they're turning that into it, and then the Doctor and Biden find that, they stop it, and they bring her out, and they revive her.
The Doctor and who?
Biden. Oh, sorry, but Bygone. Sorry, President Biden. Alright, Bygone. Anyway, so they bring her out, they save her, she was put in a hypnotic trance by Enlightenment. Sorry we saved you.
It's like,
and then, okay, so Monarch was trying to get Adric to show him into the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Because he wants the access to the TARDIS technology.
He saw Tegan move the TARDIS on camera and he goes, there's nothing special to it. Any old person
Any fool can do this, yeah. Okay, that's a logical conclusion.
Which isn't true because isn't there the metabolism detector?
Oh, don't get me started on that.
I don't think it would work. It might work. I don't know. So he wants the TARDIS.
Holes.
He wants the TARDIS because he wants to go back in time.
Well,
which is impossible.
Well, he doesn't understand it's a time machine.
Yeah.
So,
he thinks
Adric's looking for the Doctor to convince the Doctor to take the show him the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So the Doctor found Nyssa, and then Adric shows up with Persuasion.
He's real idolized, and he's like, "This is what we're doing for humanity," and the Doctor has to go like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. So Persuasion has a weapon, and Persuasion goes, "Okay." Nyssa used a sonic screwdriver and a pencil to relay that current to knock out the androids.
Whatever that means.
That had control of the Doctor, that had the Doctor down, and that had hold of Adric. And Persuasion's about to execute the Doctor, just like the Roman android was about to execute the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, and
before this, the Doctor takes a generous amount of time to kind of debate with Adric of the
no, we're not there yet.
Morality of it.
We're not there yet.
This is episode 3, and then the Doctor has the same realization that Tegan had. Right? He goes, "We have to warn Earth. That's our only chance is to warn Earth." So he goes to the TARDIS, and that's when someone, Nissa or Adric's like,
no.
the TARDIS isn't here because Tegan hijacked it, and the Doctor goes, "Oh no, we have to go get her in the TARDIS." And then he's intercepted and captured, and that leads to his
about
capitation. Yeah.
So end of episode 3.
End of episode 3.
So episode 4, I'm going to the restroom.
Doctor capitation. Decapitation.
He's not decapitated.
Doctor capitation.
No. So Adric runs in front of in front of Persuasion.
Yes.
Prevents Doctor from being decapitated, and Monarch's all happy. He's like, "I will spare your life because I will bring Adric to me," and that.
Right. So.
Like, lots of stuff happens.
It's really weird. Monarch is totally enchanted by Adric. He goes, "Oh, he's a brave boy. Let's stay the execution."
He believes in our cause.
I like Adric because he sees Adric as someone who's malleable and manipulatable. Yeah, manipulatable. So he's like, he's like, spare the boy. I can work with him. Don't kill him and stay the execution for now. Let's talk about this. He thinks he can kind of weasel his way around and figure out things. So it's about this time that the Doctor is plotting to escape their capture because they're kind of in this ceasefire and they're discussing and disagreeing morally. And he goes, this is crazy and you can't do this. And the Doctor's like, this guy is psychotic, right? He's crazy. There's no convincing him. So we're going to have to, go along with this and pretend like we're discussing and kind of reaching a common ground. But really, he's coming up with a plan to escape. So he leans over to Bygone he's talking to Lin Futu, and he's like, during the celebration, let's when does the dancing dragon part come out? And he goes, whenever you need it to. You have a plan? And he goes, can you make it next? That'd be great. Well, I'll use it as a distraction or something. He kind of works his way around that. He schedules it. And what Hatter noticed was they actually had written on the dancing dragon costume, the name of the studio is called a Dragon Club, was written on the side of it, which was fun. So it's nice to see where they got the props from. This is really the part where Tegan does a great job of expressing sort of a desperate emotion through her. She's just absolutely frantic. She's horrified. She goes, these people, these androids are coming to Earth. They're going to take over, turn everyone into robots. And she can't figure out how to pilot the TARDIS, and she's just freaking out. And you kind of feel really bad for her because she thinks, it's the end of humanity. I have to escape and warn humanity. We don't stand a chance. And she's just beside herself. It's really sad and emotional because everything is so dark. They have the whole old floor, which is just fertilized by dead people. They're discarding their corpses and turning them into robots. It's really kind of creepy. So I don't know. I feel like I feel like Tegan's actions are justifiable. So she's just wailing on these controls, totally desperate, really sad. You get the sense that she's definitely not happy being a companion. She never really liked being a companion. She kind of went on along with it for a few serials, but you get the sense we're about to part ways with Tegan as soon as she gets back to Earth. She is not into the whole adventure. She doesn't like putting her life at risk. So the distraction was the Doctor during the dragon came out. He's I think he sneaks through the dragon costume, and he's using his sonic screwdriver to mess up the little cameras, right? So he's spinning them around or holding them in place so they can't see them sneaking around while, they're having that moral debate and conversation. So the goal is the Doctor's trying to get these, that vial, the tube of chemicals that they use to freeze, shrink the people, into storage. He called it a poison, but it's like the shrinking poison thing that works on living organisms. So that's his plan. He snatches that, and that's like you get the idea that that's his weapon against Monarch. So that's why.
Oh no, he wants it originally to study. He says.
Right, and then he uses it later. That's why he formed the distraction, because he's.
Wait, did you go through the thing where the Doctor goes out to the TARDIS on the?
No, yeah, we're just getting to that point where he's trying to get to the TARDIS where the Tegan's at. He captures a thing, and then he goes out to the TARDIS. Then later, when
so
he sends his goons, right? He first he sends out who is it? Persuasion. Yeah, they're all suited up in the oxygen tank. They're trying to get out to the TARDIS, which is just hovering in space.
So the Doctor has this oxygen thing going on, but you have to assume it has some sort of force field because otherwise he'd explode.
Something's pressure.
He kind of tethers. He's trying to tether out to the TARDIS, which is funny because the fourth Doctor has already shown that you're going to activate a force field from the TARDIS, but Tegan didn't know how to do that. He has no way to contact her.
Yeah, that's from inside the TARDIS.
Right. So he's trying to tether. He's trying to go out to the TARDIS by the tether.
And Atrick is there leading the slack on the rope.
Right.
He's in the pressure suit with the helmet.
So
Monarch
Persuasion shows up
with a
gun. And Atrick manages to fight him off. The Doctor pulls himself back real quick, and they fight off Persuasion. The Doctor
pulls out his memory chip and throws it out into space.
So Persuasion's gone.
Yeah, it's also his power source, so he just freezes. His robot husk is...
Yeah. Okay. So the Doctor goes back out, and then...
Deja vu, the exact same thing happens. With Monarch sends out Enlightenment. He goes, all right, now you take care of them.
Yeah, so Enlightenment
let's go at one at a time.
And Enlightenment, and they manage to defeat Enlightenment. The Doctor has to come back.
Yeah.
So then the Doctor goes out again.
Desperately.
Enlightenment threw out his rope, so the Doctor's stuck out there with no tether to the ship and no way to get to the TARDIS. The Doctor takes out his cricket ball, throws it at the ship. It comes back and it pushes him towards the TARDIS. Right as everybody's watching, going, "Oh, we're on the Doctor's side. We want the Doctor to make it, but we can't help him because the 6 men show up. He's going to freeze to death." And he makes it to the TARDIS, gets the TARDIS back.
Yay! This leads to my favorite scene, where we see Monarch sitting in his chair, watching this all go down on the monitor, and he's this big fellow. He has this big gut, this big belly, and he goes, "Haha, very clever, Doctor. I can be somewhat agile myself," he says.
To be fair, he is kind of agile.
He
moves about.
He slowly stands up. He starts waddling towards the Doctor.
He moves faster than that. It's obviously a smaller guy in the fast.
Slow walking. He's speed walking. And then he's just like, "I am so agile." And
so anyway, the Doctor convinced everybody onto his side. Each of the four main ethnic groups we saw.
The androids.
They're androids now. But he convinced them to his side, and then the Doctor,
because they still have the free will aspect of their personality and consciousness.
So the Doctor gets the poison. He calls it the poison. The entire planet. Right.
Living organisms.
Right. And he heads back to his TARDIS, and then standing in front of them is Monarch. The Doctor
saying, "I am very agile. Come after me."
The Doctor takes the poison, chunks it at him.
Tube. The entire vial just shrinks him down to, I'm sure, nano.
Nothing. Yeah. The Doctor's like, "Oh, cool, we won! Yay!"
That's all.
And he was going to take the main four people back to the Earth and put them back in the things. He's like, "Do you want to come with? We can take you back." And they're like, "No, we think we'll head to a new planet and start over."
We'll just start over. We'll try it again.
Even though they're the only four intelligent people on the ship, which they can probably still figure out how to pilot the ship. But everyone else is the slave-esque sisters.
They're the ones that aren't
robots. Not androids, but robots.
Just workers.
We'll head to a new planet and start over. And I was like, okay. And he heads into the TARDIS with the companions. And they take off.
We think everything is safe
and okay.
And then Nyssa
falls to the floor. She faints.
Passes out.
End of episode 4.
Cliffhanger.
We have a cliffhanger going to the next serial.
We will be back next week. Kind of. Well, kind of.
The name of the next serial is Kinda. Kinda, like you would say kinda.
So we'll kind of have a serial next week.
Kinda. Alright.
Is that
yeah, we will have a serial definitely.
Definitely next week.
God willing.
So come back.
Okay. What questions do you have?
We covered just about all of them.
Okay. But you should still have some questions.
No, I think what? You remember talking about the dragon club that was written on the side of the dragon costume?
Okay, yeah. Did you mention that?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. So they had for the Chinese guy for his recreational stuff, they had these 2 Chinese dragons, and on the side, both the left and the right side, it said Sang's Kung Fu Club, and I never noticed that before, but now in 4K on my 4K TV, I noticed that on the side. I'm like, oh my god, they borrowed these. Yeah. They weren't even made for the serial. They borrowed them from Sang's Kung Fu Club.
Yeah, it's called like
figuring no one would notice.
Dragon Club, and it's nice.
No, Kung Fu Club.
Oh, I wrote down Dragon.
Sang's Kung Fu Club.
It says that on one side, and the other side it said Dragon.
I think it says Kung Fu Club on both. We already have one wager, which I will beat you in minutes.
You're not willing to lose 2 in a row, right?
No, I'm not willing to make you lose 2 in a row.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway, so
it's nice having that level of detail and kind of getting the inside, behind the scenes of where some of the props came from. It's fun to.
Okay.
I didn't notice it.
100 nanometers. You say 10. I say 100.
It says a 10. All in all, what did you think about the serial?
Okay. The serial was weird and interesting. It's
exactly.
So very different.
So bizarre. Very weird.
So bizarre. All takes place in a single day.
Yeah,
like they have one meal and there's no stop for anything else. No sleep, no nothing. Just boom, 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 done.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or Dazed and Confused. Yeah. 24-hour period.
All right.
Yeah, it's just interesting and fun. Any other questions?
Like you said, a really weird episode. I have conflicting feelings about it. My favorite are like movies that happen in real time. There's no flash forward cuts. Like, you ever watched 12 Angry Men?
No.
The entire 2-hour, 90-minute movie is just that one room.
I want to see it.
One conversation.
Seen it yet.
Oh, it's amazing. There's a couple of different versions of it. I like the black and white.
No, the black and white original would be the best. Yeah.
So that's the one to watch. Also, I've been watching Sherlock Holmes, the old 1980s TV show, 70s. It's pretty old. It's in color. It's right around there with I Love Lucy, probably about. But it's BBC. It's really good.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Oh,
I know the new Sherlock. Definitely
not the Benedict Cumberbatch one.
Oh, love Benedict. I don't like Sherlock. The first 2 seasons are great. Beyond that,
Yeah, I prefer the Robert Downey Jr. ones on the cinematic ones.
To be fair, Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock is good.
Oh, perfect portrayal. That's the one that this older 1980s colorized TV show reminds me of. He's very Robert Downey Jr.-esque. Yeah, this is a good show. What have you been up to, Henry? Anything there? Any games?
No, I went to GAMA last week.
That's a GAMA convention.
Game and Manufacturers Association of America or something like that.
Doing some networking.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. And you?
Very cool. Not much. I have a couple of job interviews coming up.
Oh yeah.
I have this one scam.
I want you to get a job.
I have this scam job.
Just get Monday evenings off, so we can do this.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully. I had this one scammer try and send me these phishing emails, trying to tell me that he wanted to interview me. I have 2 legitimate emails, but one of them, the third one, there's just an email chain with me and this phishing guy that I'm just going back and forth with.
PH, right?
Yeah. Okay. Phishing, email phishing scam. And they're like, do you have any questions about the position? We want to hire you. We just need your bank information. I'm like, is this a scam? They go, no, this is very legitimate.
But why do you need my bank information?
Download this app to message. I'm like, well, that's fun.
Alright, so
that's what I've been up to the past couple of days.
We're here now, Kinda.
Let me pull that out so we can remember.
No. It's where it needs to be.
Right there.
Alright. And there's the main group. We are catching up rapidly.
We're right on their tail. Yeah.
We're getting there. The main group we just started yesterday, the 6th Doctor.
Oh, wait. We're exactly 1 Doctor behind almost.
Right. We are literally, well, the Doctor's very in length. But we are now less than 3 seasons behind. 2.5 seasons behind. What are you looking for?
Just looking at the Doctors we've seen so far.
We're on the 5th Doctor.
Yes.
And the main group's on the 6th Doctor.
Pertwee, 6th Doctor is the guy with the hat?
Other side.
Oh, that guy?
Yep.
Curly hair?
Curly hair, yep.
It's the Baker haircut.
7th Doctor is the one.
So we have the question mark collar for 3 different Doctors?
2.
So we have collar.
No.
Collar
him,
at the end with cut.
Him, and well, yeah. Technically, you're right. Yeah.
I still think Troughton's my favorite. I'm not saying he's the best Doctor. Baker's probably the best Doctor.
I still love Tom Baker as the best.
Objectively, my favorite is Troughton. He might not be the best, but he's
my second favorite.
He's my
after
favorite.
Tom Baker.
Baker's pretty good.
And then Tennant, and we'll get to him eventually.
I haven't seen him yet. He's kind of right there along the lines with maybe Pertwee. I really like Davison a little bit better than Pertwee.
Well, you haven't seen much of Davison yet. So
yeah, I like Troughton, Baker.
Pertwee is freaking good.
Hartnell, Davison, Pertwee, I think would be my order. What's your order?
Pertwee last?
That we've seen so far. Pertwee is unfortunately a little bit under Hartnell for me. And Davison. Okay. I'd say Davison. The thing is, Hartnell really established the character of the Doctor, and then Troughton made me fall in love with it. That's why I went from a viewer of the show to like a fan of the show. Once Troughton came on, I'm like, I really like this character in the show.
Baker's still my favorite. Then Troughton. Mm-hmm. He's my second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst the first 5.
Yeah. So 3 left.
Pertwee.
Really?
Yeah.
He's your 3rd favorite. So then these 2 for the list. What order?
Hartnell, Davison.
Yeah. See, I'm similar. I say Troughton, Baker, Hartnell, Davison, Pertwee.
Yeah, we disagree on Pertwee. So the rest are more or less in the same place.
Reason I'm so harsh on Pertwee, I feel like, is the really stark contrast between him and my favorite one, which was Troughton. It was a very big shift.
Yeah, just Pertwee had some absolutely fantastic
his
classic
episodes were great. The actual him himself was kind of hit and miss for me compared to Troughton. I'm a bit biased. I just, in comparison to Troughton, I didn't like Pertwee going into it.
Each to his own, but I will disagree wholeheartedly.
All right. Anything else?
No. We will see you next week when we do Kinda.
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda.
We'll kind of see next week.
Have fun. See you next week.